Good morning. Hi. I'm going to make sure things are working and then I can give a proper intro. But there is a lot of lag today, so I just popped on camera on the replay. So let me see. Okay, let me know if you can hear me okay. Ooh. It's like in the teens here in Massachusetts. It's really cold today. But anyway, things seem to be working. Welcome everyone. I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and today we're gonna dye some yarn. Maybe I'll do some unboxings, even though I haven't prepped. I have a whole big list of ideas and projects we may do. Some of the projects are things that I may also film to have an edited episode of Dye Pot Weekly. Some things I may film to have for shorts or other social media content. Other things I might do just in the live stream. We're going to see how it goes, go with the flow, and get back into dyeing yarn, because this is the first dyeing project. These are the first dyeing projects I've done in 2025, and I'm so excited. Loud and clear, great. That is good. Okay. Ooh, man. Let's give us some more exposure. There we go. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I just had a big shop update. There is now Valentine's Day yarn in the ChemKnits Creations Etsy shop. This is a pre-order. I'll start shipping around the very end of January, early February, but this is just a fun mystery colorway, and I put it together as sort of a treat yourself kind of thing. So each Mystery Skate of Valentine's Day yarn comes with 100 grams of yarn that's going to be wrapped up so you can unwrap it. There's going to be a progress keeper. You guys, it's so cool, the one I have for this year. There'll be a sticker, which, yeah, there'll be a sticker in there as well. And then also the highlight, I think, is a handmade Valentine from me to you that is signed by me. And so this is something that is a nice way to treat yourself. You know, you get like a special Valentine's Day gift. And I mean, yarn is like a warm hug, right? So it's fun. I put a lot of thought into it, and there will be a video of me dyeing this yarn that comes out on Valentine's Day itself. And typically, if something sells out, there usually is a dyed to order listing on Valentine's Day with that. It'll either be this listing that I'm showing right here, or something, or maybe it would be a separate thing. But let me drop, I mean, I've dropped this into, it's in the video description and in the chat. And there are multiple different yarn bases. It is all the same colorway, except for probably the yarn mops options that are there. But we've got a 75-25 sock yarn, a sparkle sock yarn, superwash merino cashmere nylon sock, and then 100% superwash merino in DK or worsted weight. Excuse me. So those are the options we have for this year. Yes, we have light. Okay, and yeah, but let's go to what I plan to start with today. Oh, and if you're curious about the tools and equipment I use in my videos, I will have links and affiliate links down in the video description. And if there's something that comes up, I can try to add one during the stream. And of course, feel free to ask me questions and stuff along the way. All right, so the first project we're gonna do that you can't see entirely, but you can see we've got a shoebox, 3 shoeboxes right here. And way over there, the only yarn I've pre-soaked so far. So again, I have a lot of ideas written down, but we're going with the flow. It's the new year. I'm getting back into the swing of things. So we could, and maybe we'll do polls and we'll figure out what other kinds of projects we want to do. But for this one, it's going to be a shoebox, a variation on the shoebox technique. The yarn I've pre-soaked is Knit Pick Swish DK. 100% superwash merino wool. And behind my head, should I move this? Then maybe you can see, I've got some 3 primary colors. We have Dharma acid dyes in brilliant yellow, Caribbean blue, and deep magenta. And these colors are very familiar for our shoebox, but what I want to do is take what I did for night 7 of Hanukkah one step further. And I'm not using the second blue, so the colorways will be a bit different. But we're going to do a shoebox technique where I have yellow, pink, blue. And maybe the zip tie will be at the yellow end, maybe it'll be at the blue end, or there's a third option, it might be at both ends. And this is something I'm excited about because someone asked, you know, you lift from one end to the other, you get different results. What happens if you lift from both ends at the same time? So that's what we're going to explore and do. And this video will probably be in the last minute lab partner category, so I'll probably save it and eventually it'll be Dye Pot Weekly. But anyway, okay, I need to try to make sure I can see the chat. And so please spam the chat if I ever forget to change the camera from one thing to the other. But here, okay, there you can kind of see, like, this is a little diagram I made of our plan. And I've got our shoe boxes and our yarn. And I'm going to set it aside because I think the thing we need to do next is measure the dye, which I'll be doing as, I think, a time lapse. And I haven't decided on the exact proportions of the colors we're going to use yet. How do I want to do this? Gotta move, oh, that's heavy, everything around. Okay, we need some cups. You can tell that I haven't touched things in a long time. Where are all my cups? Because I'm going to need 9 little cups here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Great. Okay, I want my gloves, and I need some kind of measuring vessel. Let's use the tiniest little beaker in the world, and we'll see if I can get 20 milliliters of each color in our cups. But the one I'm going to start with, and Rebecca, this is a time lapse. The one I'm going to start with is the pink. Let's see. A pleasant surprise. Yeah, I figured I scheduled this very tentatively back at the end of December because I had a feeling, that I'm gonna have too much pink. I scheduled this back at the end of December when I figured it would be a nice present for myself for the new year. Because then that meant that I didn't have to have an edited, oh sweet, I have enough. I got a little bit too much. This was the color I was concerned that I didn't have enough of. All right, we're gonna start also a leave no dye behind vessel. What will we use? Let's use this jar. Okay, I'm gonna go rinse this guy out. Okay, hopefully by the end of today I will completely use up that pink, but you never know. Okay, let's do the yellow next. Normally I might start with yellow when it comes to mixing or something like this, or measuring, but I didn't know how much of the pink I have, and so I wanted to start with like a 1:1 ratio. I should have put this back in the middle. That's okay. It's all approximate. Like if one container has an additional milliliter of the yellow, that isn't going to make the biggest difference in the end here, because you've seen that, and this is one of the nice things of the Hanukkah videos, as long as I'm doing things in the same way, the results are going to be very, very similar. There's a lot of consistency with this technique. Let's see. Have you ever tried a greater than a 1% depth of shade? Yes, I have. That is a great question. So a 1% depth of shade is 1 gram of dye per 100 grams of yarn. I have dyed up to an 8% depth of shade. Now, typically if you go to the dye manufacturer's website, they will recommend the amount of dye that you should use or give a maximum of what fiber can handle. Now, the time I did the 8% depth of shade, I think that was with ecru or ivory or something like that. So I used a pastel, but I knew that the pastel had less pigment in there. And so I was doing that for just a demonstration to show that like a high depth of shade doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna have a dark color. Now, in terms of dye stocks, a lot of colors may not be soluble if you try to go above a 1% dye stock. So 1% dye stock is 1 gram of dye. A 1% dye stock is 1 gram of dye in 100 milliliters of liquid. Hold on. And I really like that ratio because, for example, that means in this case, 20 milliliters of dye is 0.2 grams. And so knowing that makes things easier. Oh yeah, I guess normally I do live streams on Fridays because Tuesdays are more often like random videos. But I will do some more streams this year on random days, hopefully. Okay, what do I want to do? But one gift I started giving to myself in the last year was sometimes for a Friday slot. It meant I didn't have to have an edited video ready to go and I could do a live stream. And so I'm trying to give myself flexibility in the schedules, but maybe I'll be flexible with Tuesdays too. Okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of water. Oh, it's my pleasure. I can't easily link to the video from here, but if you search for depth of shade, or it might be on the FAQ playlist, the video where I did some extremes. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Some extremes with depth of shade. All right, and now what I'm going to do is add some more liquid into each of the cups, which this is a lot of liquid. I'm adding 100 milliliters. Maybe I'll regret this later. And I think that this is not what I did. So if I've completely messed up this experiment by doing this, then so be it. But this is going to make it a little easier for me to pour the dye on and to spread it out by diluting it, just because 20 milliliters is not very much liquid. So this is just 100 milliliters of plain tap water. My tap water is slightly acidic, so I will sometimes see some colors start to strike. Of these colors, the pink is one that can strike a little bit faster than the blue, certainly, but we should be good. And in addition to my gloves that I'm wearing here, I'm wearing safety glasses, and all of the tools and equipment I'm using today are dedicated for dyeing yarn and are not used for the preparation of food. And so another thing is that the text where I have the chat that I can see up at the counter is really small. So if you've asked a question and I didn't answer it, when I come back and sit down, feel free to re-ask, because I'll try to go back up through the comments, but I certainly miss things sometimes. Okay. Now I need to film a little voiceover. Okay. Voiceover. The stock solutions I had were 1% stock solutions, which meant that originally I had 1 gram of dye dissolved in 100 milliliters of liquid. Now I say originally because these stocks are slightly older, and so sometimes things settle, and my confidence in the concentration goes down when I hit the end of a bottle. So for more consistent results, I like to mix my dye stocks fresh. However, since I'm adding the same amount of these stocks to each of the cups, I know I'm adding the same amount of dye, even if maybe it's a little more or a little less than I originally thought, because I shook the bottles up well. But anyway, I measured out 20 milliliters, or approximately 0.2 grams of dye of each of the 3 colors into various containers, and then I diluted it a little further with 100 milliliters of just plain tap water, no acid, to make the pouring slightly easier onto our yarn. Cool. All right, I need to put things away. By put it away, I mean give myself some space on the counter. I don't know if you can see the ring under the yellow, but this is a reason why I could have a yarn mop for the counter, but that's fine. This is a big reason why I always store my dyes in a secondary container. That way if something drips down the side, it won't make a mess. Okay. Let's divide up our colors and grab our shoe boxes. I'm going to quickly check the questions. Remember watching my videos when I was using food coloring, candying, and all other kinds of experiments? Yes! I need to get some candy hearts. Sometimes I still do food coloring, but I think my husband took the food coloring to work today. No. So flare heart, depth of shade is not a percent based on water. Concentration of dye is a percent based on water. Depth of shade is the total amount of dye per weight of yarn. And so if I misspoke during the stream, I really apologize. They're both set as percents. So a 1% stock solution is 1 gram of dye in 100 milliliters of water. A 1% depth of shade is 1 gram of dye per 100 milliliters, per 100 grams of fiber. And so the depth of shade is volume independent. It depends, the amount of volume of your stock solution you need depends on its concentration. So yes, of weight of goods, that is frequently used by people as sometimes the, it's also a percentage, but so different of weight of goods is also talking about the grams of dye per weight of fiber, but oftentimes they'll just talk about per pound of fiber. So they might say ounces of dye per pound of fiber or something like that. And the numbers can work out to be very similar, but the math is more confusing when people are talking about per pound of fiber, because like there's 16 ounces in a pound. And so if they do on weight of goods as a percent, then it's the same. You can use grams or pounds and ounces. There's no issue there, but you need to pay attention to, you need to pay attention to the units that people give. If it's a percent, then the units it's fine. It's the proportion, and then that's fine. Yes, no problem. A lot of dye brands sell things in terms of pounds and ounces versus grams. And the yarn industry talks about grams versus ounces, mostly with yarn. So, which I think is more logical, and the scientist in me likes that way more because it makes the math easier. I did something which I don't think I've ever shown here, where I did go through and to show that a percentage of, like, if you're doing ounces and pounds, that how the math works out. But grams make the math easy because, because it's all out of like 100, and the imperial system is goofy. Even though there was a logic to it at some point in history. I think I tend to confuse a lot of people. Well, A, because there are times when I definitely misspeak and say the wrong thing and not what I was thinking. So that can definitely be confusing. But the other thing that I do, okay. The other thing that I do is have a brain lapse. But since there's two numbers that are a percent, it can be confusing. And we can talk more about, I've been doing some videos of like when volume makes a difference, because if you're doing a tonal, the volume of water that you have doesn't matter. What matters is the total amount of dye that you have. Do I keep a notebook of results or what you want to try, or do I use videos of a record? Mostly the videos, but I do have a written record. If you check the video description of any of my videos, there's like chapters. It's usually in the middle of the description, but underneath the chapter headings, like measuring out the dye, I will write down how much of each color I measured out. And I do that for future me and for you, right? Okay. Let's alter the way I have my camera set up and not spill any dye. We definitely do not want to spill anything. That would make Rebecca very sad. Okay. In my 3 shoe boxes, I added 8 cups of water, again with no acid. And to each container, I'm going to add 200 grams of our pre-soaked yarn and just sort of scrunch it down. Now, another variable I have not really talked about today is that the way things are scrunched in here could make a difference with the way the colors spread, but I have achieved decent consistency with this kind of technique in the past. Okay, I'm going to add the colors in the same order in each of the shoe boxes. But over here, I am adding the zip ties at the bottom. And then for our final shoe box, the middle, I started off by adding 2 zip ties to each skein. But what I'm going to do is kind of move it so then I have the skein in half with zip ties at one end or at each end. This is going to be interesting when I try to do this one, but we're going to give it a try and see where we end up. And I'll pull those back up in a second. Okay. The goal is to have things reasonably well distributed. Screenshot. Okay. And now we're going to pour on our dyes. So let's do our yellows first. We'll do our yellows over here. I probably should have used less volume. It's all fine. I'm gonna move my zip ties in to do this. Sometimes when you set things up, you realize, oh, there's this change maybe I should have made. Other times you may not, but it's all good. It's all fine. Okay, we'll do the pinks in the middle last. Let's do the blue. Sorry, yellow. Maybe I should have added only 50 milliliters, but we're fine. I am trying, as I pour back and forth, to add this at the edge. Just because that way it means I'm pouring consistently. Oh man. I am gonna let things sit for a while, but depending on how much yarn is at the surface, you can see the dyes are moving. We're getting some greens even now, and that is just totally okay. We're just not gonna move the yarn yet. Now for our pink, adding it to the middle. Now, the reason why I like lifting up and moving the yarn, which may be not as dramatic because of this huge volume that I have the dyes in. I'm already having some regrets, Rebecca. But the dye doesn't go all the way to the bottom because there's some resist. So by lifting and lowering the yarn, we're going to be moving the color through more. And even if we see blending on the top, there may not be blending in the middle or on the bottom quite yet. But what I'm going to do now is just be patient and wait. And we're going to wait, let's wait 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, and then we'll come back and move the yarn. All right. We will see. Oh man. And I'll rinse out those cups in a minute because right now I have something that I need to do. Okay, I'm gonna leave that up there. But while I have your attention, please subscribe and turn on notifications. And we're gonna come over here. I'm gonna quickly, yeah, but actually, speaking of record keeping, I do recommend keeping records in some kind of way. It just so happens that as I film things, then I can keep records. And this isn't my diary, D-Y-E-A-R-Y. I do have a notebook where when I'm dyeing, like for Hanukkah or something, and I'm dyeing over a dozen skeins in one colorway, I will write down what I do and how I do it, even with some details and maybe a sketch of how I poured the colors on, just so that way I can have consistency in the moment because I don't have an edited video to refer to yet. Let's see. But speaking of records, we actually have a sponsor for this portion of the live stream. And I am very, very excited to tell you more about that in just a moment. All right, so I want to give a huge thank you to Alana Wilcox for sponsoring this portion of today's live stream. And so this portion of the live stream is sponsored by Alana Wilcox's Color Alchemy Masterclass, The Science of Color and the Art of Dyeing. This is a masterclass that will help you understand color theory and how to use technology to dye the colors you want. You can take it from the comfort of your own home through 4 live Zoom sessions, plus on-demand content with the color mixing expert, Alana Wilcox. I'm gonna drop her link into the chat right now. Her link is also in the video description, so you can go check it out. And registration for the spring session of the Color Alchemy Masterclass is open through February 7th. And so we're just going to check out the website. Now check out this color match. So one of the things that Alana is an expert with is starting with a digital image, helping you pull colors and then create dye recipes to match those colors. So the match to the target is incredible. So I haven't taken the masterclass myself, but I have worked with Alana for some color matching recipes, and it's incredible. And we got really close. Oh gosh, I meant to pull the image. Let me find it. I meant to have it ready to go. Where's my image? Here we go. So of course the image that I picked was a little bit tricky because it was this tie and there were tons of different colors in it. So we actually pulled 2 colors from this tie, and we did 2 different recipes. And what we found is that I got a closer match on the silk that I wanted to dye for this color, a silk blend. And so one of the things that Alana can work with you with is that when you get the first version, okay, maybe this, I don't know if you can see, you probably can't see my mouse. Maybe on your superwash merino, the color is too deep. Maybe you need to have it be a little bit less saturated. And so part of all of this is learning to troubleshoot for, okay, this was what I tried. How can I adjust this recipe to get the color that I want? Which I think is really, really cool. And I lost my notes. Okay. Okay, so the spring session starts on February 25th. There's some on-demand content before the live sessions. And in those 4 live sessions, they'll cover color theory and developing a step-by-step plan to go from your photos to a color palette, organization and record keeping, so that way you can have reproducible results, just a strategy to keep you organized both with your recipes and your color placement and things like that. Dye formulas to help you get the desired colors on your fiber. She has this, again, incredible strategy for, or like formula that she developed with a lot of work to go from a digital color to like a Pantone color to give you a dye recipe, which is so cool. And she'll go through dye applications and troubleshooting tips for your dyeing process. And then there's also a private Discord for you to troubleshoot things one-on-one with Alana and the other participants. And there's also an alumni group once your session is over. And so just, yeah, her color theory and mixing is incredible. You can learn more info on there. There are, oh, here's some other images from past participants, and it's just breathtaking what they can do. Let's see. Masterclass participants get exclusive access to Alana's book, Color Alchemy From Digital to Dye, which is a textbook to accompany the 4 live Zoom sessions. And I really, oh no, I zoomed up all the way. And I really want a copy of the book. Oh man, I'd love a copy. And then there's a curated dye kit, and there's like a lot of other, yeah, in the kit there's syringes, some soap, some citric acid, and there's other digital on-demand content that you get access to from the course. And let me see, and this course isn't about a specific brand of dye. So like she uses 4 different brands of dyes for her color palette, but one of the things that she can work with you is that, okay, if I don't have this greener shades color, maybe what would I pick, and then how maybe I would tweak and troubleshoot to get closer. I actually did a video sponsored by Alana where I used the same recipe across 3 different brands, intentionally picking colors that maybe weren't the closest match, just to show how we got some differences in there. And yeah, but one of the big things that you'll learn with Alana's masterclass is you'll learn how to control your colors and anticipate what will happen, rather than saying green is half blue and half yellow without knowing why. And so it'll make it easier to look at a color, look at your target, and think, how do I need to adjust this to get what I want, and things like that. And so it's more about how to do it versus this is the brand and here are the recipes. So anyway, a huge thank you to Alana for sponsoring this portion of my live stream. If you'd like to learn more, her website is alanawilcox.com. I'll drop it in the chat again. And yeah, I think that she's awesome. She's very easy to work with, very knowledgeable and helpful. And yeah, thank you, Alana. Okay, and now I'm going to come back here. Oh man, and so some of like Alana's methodology, there's like some proprietary things to it because of the like time to develop her color matching thing. Oh, you can also buy from her if you want just like a recipe for a single color. You can do that. So like what I showed with my tie, is that what was right here? No. Okay, it's gone. What I showed with my tie, you can buy 1 or 2 color recipes from her, or I mean 5, whatever. You can buy the individual color recipes and she'll give you a recipe for it. And so that is something that you can do. But yeah, a lot of her technique and things are proprietary. And so if I were to take the class, given that I share everything about my process, that might be like harder for me to separate like what I learned there and can't talk about. And so that's probably the big reason why I haven't done it. So, but anyway, she's great. We've had dinner, we've chatted a lot of times, and so it's my pleasure to support Alana, and well, she supports me back by sponsoring, and so that's very, very fun. What was I gonna say? Okay, I wanted to look back through questions, and feel free if I haven't answered your question to drop it down below. Yes, metric all the way. Horrible of records. Yeah, actually, Alana does also have a whole on-demand course that you can take online on how to like set up a digital die notebook. My notebooks, I still do pen and paper. This isn't, again, my diary. This is my like, oh, this is my ideas of the things I could do. Which, speaking of, if you have requests, we can see what we can make happen once we finish setting this up. But yeah, I'm excited. It's good. It feels good to be playing with color again. But it's funny because I know I made a joke at Hanukkah Night 8 when it was the first video of the year of like, oh, I'm going to do something different. And then I started with the same start as Night 7. It didn't occur to me that this would be this first dyeing project I do of 2025 as well. Oh, man. No, and one other amazing thing, thinking of the color matching that Alana did once, was she's got these recipes. Well, she dyed wool in each of the different colors for use for her recipes, and then blended them at the proportion to mix the color, but with blended fibers to get this stunning heathered yarn that was the color that she wanted. And I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I want to blend. But I want a blending board really bad, but that's a whole other story. I can't see my timer from here. Maybe there's 10 minutes left. But let me work on a poll, which I cannot promise that things are going to go in this order or in this way. But let's see. We do, especially because, so right now I don't have a heat source on the counter. So typically when I stream, I like to do things that don't need a hot plate first and then things that need a hot plate later. But, oh yes, let's see. Sock blank. Oh, what techniques do you want to see today? There are a few things that I need to do for various reasons. Oh, I'm not going to put that on there. One of the next things I'm going to do is a tonal, just because I want to get some footage of some colors mixing. There's one that's silly, but that might be the only thing we do. Into green and orange. Okay, that one I'm not going to put on because I don't think I'd be able to do anything else. Or sock ink. Okay. It's starting to pull. I could also do something completely random, but here's some ideas. Great question from Jess. Jess asked if I added acid to the liquid already or not. I have not added any acid yet. This allows the colors to spread a little bit more first. And actually, what we might notice is that we do have green on one and not the others. You know, sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, Amy, yeah, I did not yet add acid. Cool. Okay, I've done that one. No, so whatever you guys vote for, I will try to prioritize. But I think that the next thing I'm going to do will be tonal based. And so, self-striping. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I have reasons for needing to do some of these different techniques. And I also want to do what you guys want to see. Yeah, because the next thing I'll do after this is probably just a quick tonal, because I want to get some footage of just water with me pouring color in at either end and letting that spread. That is what I'm going to do. Okay, I am going to go get some yarn and make sure, because I put self-striping on there, I think I have one long skein left, and I have a really fun idea of what I want to do to it. So, let's go. Let's go get some yarn. Wait! Okay, I realized as I ran upstairs and then run back downstairs, this is the point where I should put an ad on. Oh, man. Okay, you may not see an ad, but I'm inserting an ad because I'll be right back. Okay, I just got a video idea. But I need to order some, I'm gonna write this on here. I want to dye the same colorway, single-stranded and double-stranded blanks, and then unravel. Okay. I may do an unboxing too, because I have a huge order I placed with Knit Picks at the end of the year that I never unboxed. So I may need to unbox that. But yeah, I think because part of me was like, oh, I have some single-stranded blanks from Wool to Dye For, and I have some double-stranded Stroll soft blanks. But we learned that Stroll soaks up more dye than platinum. So dyeing those together would not be a fair comparison. It should be the same base from the same mill. And so that's the thing I need to do. Now, I do need to I do need to dye some soft blank gradients because there's an experiment that I want to do with relaxing the crimp. And because a lot of people are telling me to steam set it, which I honestly think that would take longer than what I do to soak the yarn, but I want to try it, and so therefore I need to dye some rainbows, or dye some gradients, and I'll probably do rainbows. So that's another project that I need to do. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Oh my gosh, was that really loud? Do I dye blanks other than stock? Yes, and in fact, I have some that will be coming up. In December, I shared a sock blank that was worsted weight that I dyed, that I made myself. So when it comes to buying blanks, Wool to Dye For has a DK weight single-stranded blank, but otherwise there are not very many that are commercially available. They're mostly stock, mostly fingering weight yarn. I do have 2 videos this year that are coming up that will involve worsted and sport weight. Tips on relaxing the crimp. Yeah, so normally when I unravel the yarn, ooh, I need my phone. Normally when I unravel the sock blanks, if I'm not knitting directly from it, I will just soak the yarn and sort of give it a nice little snap to relax that crimp. It's been 20 minutes, and I know this one looks like we've got some more green right there, but I'm going to pop up an image from my phone, Rebecca, January 7th, for reference, to show you that the edge of them is all very yellow. It's just this one bit on the top that looks green. I need acid. Ugh. Okay, that's going to need a rinse. I had a container of vinegar that sat out over break, and it the water evaporated. So now I have some on the edges powdered acetic acid. Lovely. Okay, but we're going to use white vinegar as our acid source. And if you were me, I put these on the floor. It's not a smart spot. You maybe want to start out dyeing yarn at home. Any advice from a beginner on a budget? Ooh, tons of advice. Let me go ahead and do the next step here, and then remind me, and I'll talk about that more. Okay. How many tablespoons of vinegar do we want to do? Let's just do 3. the yarn back in. But we're going to do that all at once. So I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of white vinegar, adding 1 to approximately each part. I'm lifting the yarn, this one from the yellow end, adding it back in, and sort of giving it a nice little wiggle in place. Okay, that was from the yellow end. And we've got a nice sort of like dirty green at this end down here. Okay, for our one that has the zip ties at the blue end, I'm adding the acid in approximately the same order, but this time you'll see the wrong side of it as I lift up. The yarn looks very similar as I pick it up, and then I'm going to put it back down, add it in, and give it like a nice little shimmy just to get the color through. And you can see things that are similar to what I've shown before, even though the colors are slightly different. And this one, even though this top edge looked like it was going to be green before, we've got more orange up here versus more green. Okay, now we're going to lift up from both ends at the same time. I kind of regret the way I have this set up a little bit, but let's try. We're going to do blue, yellow, pink. That's 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. Going to lift from both. Let things drain a little bit. Add the yarn back in this awkwardy kind of way. And see, and it is more similar. Well, it's similar to both, honestly. This is really interesting. This is actually extremely interesting. So, from lifting from both, I see a combination of the two. And what is making me really perplexed right now is we have, it's not quite the same, but we have like a golden yellow here, just like when we lifted from the blue end. And then over here, this one is more teal down there. This one is more just blue, same here. So what conclusions can we draw here? Because I think what I might have predicted is I might have predicted that lifting from the yellow end would look similar to lifting from the other yellow end, but that's not the case. It is the unzip tie end that we preserve when we lift from both. And I'll have to think about that. Maybe we'll talk about that towards our conclusions, but this is really, really cool. Okay, and Rebecca, insert the clip of the other variables that I filmed already. Now, looking at the yarn, you have to wonder if we picked it up from the middle and let it drain, would we get a yarn that would have like this end and this end? Like, is that what we would see? I don't know. I don't know. I know lifting from the middle would be hard, but oh man, I really don't know. But anyway, now we need to set these aside to let things set. I'm doing this cold process because it allowed me to set up 3 things side by side. And so I'm going to let them sit at room temperature overnight or maybe for a couple of days, so then I can go ahead and steam set the yarn. And I'll go ahead and put lids on them. But I am going to let everything sit for at least 15 minutes before I move it, just so that way me moving the yarn doesn't cause a lot of like mixing from where we are right here. So anyway, I'll see you in a couple days. Okay, I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. before we move it. That was really, really, really cool and not what I expected. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. Okay, I am going to clean out these little cups. You know what I should be doing? Oh, I forgot that there's a tonal I need to do. All right. Now, in actuality, does waiting 15 minutes make a huge difference? Probably not, but I like to do it just because I can feel a little bit more confident about not introducing another variable. But I am really, really excited with how these have turned out. Now, I have to say, if you like these colorways and want them on sock yarn, that I can help you with. Where is my window? Okay, because we've got the Valentine's Day yarn. I told you about that. But if we go to my shop, and under Hanukkah, we now have new listings for the individual nights. I need to take new photos. These ones are our yarn mops, and then we have nights 1. Is this? I don't remember which one's 3 and which one's 4. I think this one's 6, and then we have 7 and 8. And for night 7, this was, one of these was with the blue zip tie, and one of these was with the green. So I'm going to add that yarn over. And then I am going to come over here, adjust the exposure a little bit. Okay. All right. There was a question about starting. Okay. So for starting off with yarn dyeing, my recommendation would be to start with food coloring, because then you can see if you like the process. And I'm personally comfortable dyeing yarn with food coloring using cooking tools, as long as I'm using like food coloring. When it comes to commercial dyes, then you want to get some dedicated dye equipment, but you can do things as simple as like a plastic shoebox, which you wouldn't use for food ever anyway, probably. And you can go to a secondhand shop and you might be able to find a canning pot or some other kind of steamer basket. So I would say some kind of multi-pot that is like a kettle, I would get a 8 or 12 quart pot with a steamer insert. And that is a good like first dye pot for doing a lot of different techniques. As for where to start, oh my gosh, because I have thousands of videos, right? Okay, here's my YouTube channel. Nope, I did not want to scroll back up, mouse. Okay, so I have whole playlists with dyeing yarn, with food coloring, and then I did do, this is an older collaboration that I did with a company that no longer exists. I have a lot of very basic learning to dye videos here. If this is no longer on my homepage, which it may not be at some point, you'd be able to find it under the playlists tab. I've got a lot of playlists. But so it'll be in there. The Dive Into Dyeing is a good, this is where you can start playlist. And even like the early episodes of Dye Pot Weekly, even though some of them may make me cringe, the first time I tried acid dyes is in there. And so, yeah, that might be a decent place to start. I do have plans to redo some Learn to Dye intro videos, but a lot of the food coloring tutorials I think are very beginner friendly, and so I recommend that as a way to get started. So let me see. I'm probably going to miss some questions. I'm just scanning. Have you ever tried putting it back down the other way? So if you lift the yellow end out of the yellow dye bath and put it back in the blue end. Marmalade duck, I have not tried that specifically. I haven't lifted it and then moved it and shifted it in another way. I mean, you could. Oh my gosh, exposure. Thanks, sun. You definitely could do that. I just haven't tried that. Oh wait, I saw, so Rumpelstiltskin, you're allergic. If you're quite allergic to red food coloring. So food coloring is a type of acid dyes. Food coloring's in the like category of acid dyes, and so it binds to yarn with the same kind of chemistry, but food coloring isn't as light fast as commercial dyes. And so I can't speak to if you're allergic to food coloring, and especially if you have contact dermatitis, where if it comes into contact with your skin, that causes an issue. Because, you know, I would recommend that you wear gloves even with food coloring just so you don't stain your skin, but I don't know then if it would cause a problem if it's on the yarn, right? And so I can't speak to allergies and stuff like that. If you've bought hand dyed yarn from an independent yarn dyer, it's probably been made with commercial acid dyes, most likely. And so then I guess that's the only way to know if you've had issues with it. Yeah, so the, let's see, dyeing with, so onions are a fun way to play around with dyeing, and I've heard that you can shift the color of that you get from dyeing with yellow onion skins by adding an iron bath. But I do want to give a caveat when it comes to natural dyes. There are some natural dye pigments that you can use and dye yarn without needing to add chemical mordants. However, there are a lot of natural dyes that you need to use chemical mordants, which in some cases could be like, which are just chemicals as well. There are some mordants, I don't know about mordants that are food. There's a variety of safety for various chemicals, but if you're ever starting with a chemical powder, it's just always worth doing some research about it before you get started. And so, and with a lot of natural dyes, you want to be careful that you're also using equipment that is not used for food. If you're adding a mordant, specifically something that isn't coming from like the spice aisle of a grocery store, like cream of tartar. I mean, that's found as like a spice, right? So that's just something that I want to mention. But onion skins, you don't need a mordant for the onion skins to go into the yarn. I found that like you can soak up all that color with superwash yarn really easily, and so that's really fun. But if I was gonna get iron and add iron to try to shift the color and an iron bath after, I would want to use a dedicated dye pot for that. Yeah. So what I don't know is that if if the red food dyes, if the issue is when you come into contact them with touch, or if it's like an ingestion thing. So yeah, right. So that I don't know, but you could always use, if you wanted to play around with food coloring and avoid the red dyes, you could get, there's 3 colors that you could get from the Wilton Color Right system: base blue, base yellow, and base orange. And those 3 do not contain any reds in them. They contain blue 1, yellow 5, and yellow 6. And so now this limits you more to like blues and greens, but you can play around with those because I know that those are primary food colorings, and avoiding the reds that are in the other 5 colors. So ooh, a cotton silk blend. You would, ooh, I don't know what I would do for that. I mean, I'd have to do some research on what soda ash would do to silk, but I would probably do like a more cotton plant fiber technique with that type of yarn. Sounds really pretty though. I think reds tend to be the ones that people have an issue with, but don't forget also, if you're dyeing yarn with it, you're not eating it, right? And so I'm just having no luck with the exposure. I will be overexposed, underexposed, overexposed, underexposed. Yeah, so natural dyes, but you're right, because both of you get it on your skin. Yeah, then I would avoid it, even with wearing gloves, you can probably avoid getting it on your skin. I would just avoid food coloring then. What was I going to say? It's funny because I was thinking about food coloring a lot because my husband needed food coloring that wouldn't break for a diffusion experiment. I don't know if it's at work or for like an undergrad lab or what, but I was like, I gotcha. He was like, I know an expert with food coloring. Yeah. Now, I don't believe that there's overlap between the like food coloring molecules and then the commercial acid dyes, except for the fact that they bind to the yarn in the same way. And so that's the overlap. But any technique that I've done with food coloring, you can do with acid dyes, and mostly vice versa. Yeah, it's just with natural dyes. Some of the really cool colors you can get are with mordants that I personally won't use at home because the disposal, there isn't a good way to dispose it. So really I use an alum mordant, and I'll use a little bit of iron, and that's my comfort level. But for those both, I would use a dedicated dye pot. Yes, so it's funny because I think a lot of people assume, oh, natural dyes equals safe. But sometimes, like, there are a lot of plants out there that are poisonous, right? And so just because you're doing something that is found in nature doesn't mean that it would be safe to use in a cooking pot. For example, rhubarb leaves. Those would not be safe to eat, but you can use them as a mordant to dye yarn. And so, yeah, so some of those things are worth thinking about. Ooh, oak bark would be fun. Yeah, so if there's a lot of tannins in it, then you don't often need a mordant. Usually, the reason why you need a mordant is probably because you need a metal ion. So things that are colored have rings. If you want a colorful molecule, it's going to have lots of beautiful rings if you look at the structure. And I'm like, I need a chalkboard. It's going to have beautiful rings. And a lot of times, those don't have any kind of charge, and they may not bind to things super easily. But you know what really likes to bind rings? Metal ions. And so those metal ions will stick to the colored molecules and stick to the yarn, so then they can stick together. Is the best way I can explain it. Awesome. Yeah. Okay. We'll go back over here. It's always funny to me when people are like, oh, I don't want to do anything with chemicals, so I'm going to do natural dyes. And I'm like, well, but any color is a chemical, right? Water is a chemical, technically. So, move these away. Okay. All right, there's a fun thing I want to do with self-striping yarn. This will be an episode of Dye Cut Weekly, just so that way I can have the dyeing of the yarn in the same video as a swatch. Oh no, is this 2 or 1? Oh, bollocks. No, this is just 1 skein. So for self-striping yarn, you can get very tangled skeins because you didn't prep it right. Okay, for self-striping yarn, you can make your own long skeins, and I've talked about that a little bit in videos, and that's something I want to do more of this year. Or you can buy a long hank, and how long is this from Wool to Dye For? This I should know. Circumference of 5 meters. So I would say for a lot of self-striping colorways, you probably want something longer than 5 meters. But the 5 meters is good for like a 2-color self-striping, but we're not going to do a 2-color self-striping today. We're going to do something silly and fun, and so I'm really excited. And I'm going to start filming my Dye Pot Weekly episode. Hi everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and right here I have a really, really long skein of yarn. This is a 5-meter hank of yarn, just showing that it is very quite long, and it's going to make dyeing some self-striping yarn really easy. Of course, you can always make your own long skeins of yarn. Oh no, we're going to say that over. And we're going to use this really long skein today to dye some self-striping yarn. Now, one method to make a repeating, color-changing yarn where you'll alternate into sections that are long enough to get stripes, you're going to need to have a long skein. Because if you think about how much yarn goes into one round of socks, you're going to need to have that length of yarn to get your stripe. Now, this yarn is, okay, I'm starting over. I don't like that. Deleted. Oh man, I am off my game. Okay. We're going to do this. Hi everyone, I am Rebecca from ChemKnits, and right here I have a really, really long skein. This skein has a 5-meter circumference. And it is a great yarn to use for dyeing something self-striping because you can dye a long enough repeat to give you a stripe on socks. Now this particular yarn I bought in the long hank. This is Wool to Dye For's long hank platinum sock. It is 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon. And for most 3-color stripe colorways and things, you'll probably want something bigger than this. I do have other videos where I make my own long skeins, either using my PVC pipe knitting knotty or a warping board. But this is a nice, easy way that starts out with half of the big reskein job done. And so I like to use these. My plan today is to create a 2-color stripe. Now I say stripe with air quotes because half of this will dye a solid color. And then the other half, we're gonna dye random variegated. So we'll have alternating stripes of color, of solid color, and then variegated. Just to show that your self-striping yarn doesn't have to be tonal and tonal and tonal. You can have some fun with it. But now I'm gonna go pre-soak this yarn in some plain tap water with no acid for 15, 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter. I just want it to be well saturated, and platinum soaks up liquid really easily. Cool. I like that intro better. I did not put a zip tie on this. I'll add zip ties later, but I'm just pre-soaking it in the same pre-soak I had before. Because now I want to do something which I'm only filming because I want to watch the colors spread on camera. I need to decide how much water to use though. Okay, and actually, you guys can help me with this with another poll. Let's see. We're gonna end this poll. So we're gonna work on that self-striping yarn, even though obviously I will not do the swatch. Sock length gradients, cool. We can do that too. Behind the scenes, exactly. I have thoughts and I'm losing my train of thought. Fudge. Oh, I wanted to do a poll. What color should this tonal be? Green, orange. All I want to do is create a, who's what's it? I want to create, my brain is working. I am gonna like have the dye bath and I'm gonna pour at the same time either blue and yellow or pink and yellow in, and we're just gonna watch the colors kind of like move and blend. And that's the clip that I need for B-roll. And then we'll add yarn and make a tonal out of it. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, and I'm going to pour myself some more to drink. And so I'm still here, and we're going to be doing more DK yarn that is not pre-soaked. Okay, I need more. Oh, I know that you guys are looking at riveting TV right now. Sorry, everyone. Okay, but we got that pre-soaking. Let's see. I'm hoping I have some more sock length somewhere. 8 cups gonna be good? Yeah, 8 cups should be fine. All right, it looks like green. Green is our winner today. Let's see. I need 2 cups. Where are my gloves? Back here. Okay. And this is not going to be an exact science. Or should I measure the colors? I can measure the colors. Why not? Okay, let's think. Let's do some more yellow. How much yellow do I want? Let's do 40 milliliters of yellow. I'm gonna have to rinse all these out. Someone can remind me of these numbers when I sit back down. That would be great. 40 milliliters yellow, and let's do 20 approximately milliliters of blue. All these dyed leftovers from rinsing the cups I'm hanging on to. So we'll do something else with them near the end. Okay. I'm going to add some water to it. I didn't end the pull yet, but that's okay. Actually, maybe I don't want to add water to it. Maybe I'll do that later. Okay. Oh, that's just a bar from the light. Need to let that be still. And then I'll come in with these and pour. The reason why we'll add DK yarn to this is because that's what I need. I sometimes will pick colors and I'll look at my shop inventory and use that to decide how to do things. Okay, the water is pretty still. Okay, Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca, this is a color mixing B-roll. No idea how long we're gonna do, but we want it to be clear for a minute. We're gonna do these 2 colors. Okay. Let's set a timer for 5 minutes. I have no idea what this will do and how it'll look. I'm trying to like not move things. But look at those tendrils of dye. Oh, I feel like you can't even see them. It's going so slow because things are cold. It's like barely moving. This is so cool looking. But yeah, what some of the coolest like swirls at the bottom you can't really see. Okay, but it's moving. It's moving. Okay, and I'll be able to see it from over here. My face. How do I end the poll? Cool. We may let this go longer than, what did I do with my beverage? I left it somewhere. We may let this go, oh, I meant to do 2 camera so we could watch it. We could let it go longer than 5 minutes, but I have a reason for wanting this footage, so. Yes, it's very much like watching a lava lamp. It's going way slower than I thought. Oh, what did I say? It was 40 40 milliliters of yellow. 40, 20. Whenever I write Caribbean blue, I always write Carib, and then that makes me think of like cacao nibs. So that's where my brain goes. It's like magic potions. I know, it's like the, thank you. Yeah, I wrote down the 40 and 20. What is that coming over here? Okay. I felt like I had more blanks. So colors for the striping. I may focus on colors I already have mixed and then not deal with dry dye powders. Although I don't know. Let me go look and see what colors that I have. That I have ready to go. And the reason why I'm hesitating with dry dye powders is because I don't know if I want to go get them and put the mask on and all that stuff today. So we might just work with dye stocks. But I'll check and see what colors I have. It's doing things. Okay. Ooh. Mint. Midnight. Chartreuse. Jet black. Okay, we've got navy and some bright greens. Like we've got spearmint, breeze, either radioactive or chartreuse. That could be fun. That could be really, really pretty. So how am I going to set this up? Because I could cold process half of it, or I could set it in a dye bath and leave half of it out. There's a lot of different options there of how I could set that up to dye half of the skein. So if there's requests, I could do that. I mean, I could put half of it in a shoebox, leave half of it out, and let that sit. That's going to be less exciting for me to do here on a live stream though. I also, here's maybe an answer. I could do, rather than doing the dark side first, I could do the hand painted side first. Because I think that would be more fun for me to do on camera. And so it's been 5 minutes. I'm going to give that another 5 and then I'll stir it. I have no idea what this might look like sped up on camera. Maybe I should let it go longer than 5 more minutes. Oh, being a content creator. Okay, so maybe what I'll do, because this would be more fun on stream, I will dye the multicolored section of the self-striping yarn first, and then dye the darker segment. And so normally I like to do the other way around, but I think this is going to give me some nice control, and I like that. So I think that that'll be good. Because my plan with this is this is going to be nothing like the people who do the amazing planned pooling self-striping yarn where when you knit with it, you get like snowmen or Santas to show up. That yarn is like a mathematical marvel, and that isn't what we're doing here. But what we could be doing with this technique, and maybe what I should do sometime, I'm going to write this down, because we're not doing this today because I don't, oh, I could do it. This isn't quite what I want to do today, though, because we could do watermelon. We'll do watermelon self-striping yarn another time. Because that is something with a pattern that I could do, because you can get random black speckles in there, and you can do red and green, and like some maybe like white. And so maybe I'll do to get like a little bit of a gradient in there. We'll do that one another time. Because you could do the rind, you could dip dye the rest to get sort of like a gradient of those colors. I got ideas. I got ideas. Dip dye. Border. The problem with self-striping yarn is that it is extremely labor intensive, because when I finish with the long skein, I have to put it around 2 chairs and walk back and forth to rewind it. I don't have a device like a Swift that would allow me to do this in any kind of way that's automated or fast. And so this is why I would never scale up self-striping yarn, because it would be hard. And for me, the perk of buying the long hanks is that I don't have to start off making the long hank. And it can take like 20 or 30 minutes to do the skeining maybe on either end, depending on how much setup you need to do for the start. And so if you think about the labor that that adds to something, like if I'm dyeing 3 skeins of yarn in a pan at once, the labor is split between those 3 skeins. Or like when I dyed those 6 skeins on the counter, right? I was doing 6 all at once, working on all those all at the same time. That labor like that goes into it is split. But the more time you put into an individual skein, the more expensive it needs to be. And so then that's hard. Which isn't me saying that I don't like long skeins or self-striping yarn. I think it's really, really fun, and I'd love to do more of it and demonstrate more of it. I'm just pointing this out for why hand-dyed self-striping yarn is so expensive. That's something a mill has up on a hand dyer. But anyway, look at it's spreading. It's so slow. Oh man, the one thing I've never done that maybe I need to figure out how to do is to like film with a background remover. I've never filmed something directly into TikTok or like Instagram for Reels and edited in that platform. So we'll see. But I played around a little bit with trying background remover stuff for Photoshop. Or not Photoshop, but like Premiere Pro, which is what I normally use for editing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You need one of those kids' merry-go-rounds from the 60s and 70s. Oh, those were available in the 80s and 90s too. I remember being really afraid of one of those as a kid. One of those like things where like you hold on and you run in the circle. I was so afraid I'd get stuck under it. Okay, I'm gonna do 5 more minutes and then stop. The edges are getting so blurred. This is really, really pretty. So I'm just trying to get it. Okay. Oh, I need to open all those boxes. I don't really want to though. Means I finally have to deal with it. Okay. Maybe I will. I only haven't opened them. And I'll pop this here. That's my KnitPicks affiliate link. I earn commission if you make a purchase through my link. So far today, I've only shown you Swish. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll go prep those so I can open it because I need to make sure everything I ordered is in there. I have personally had really good experience with KnitPicks customer service, but this is I don't remember what I ordered. There's at least one thing in here that's going to be fun that I definitely paid for myself versus all this is stuff that I bought. None of this was freebies. Ow. Got a paper cut. Oh my god. This means I have to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. I'm pulling off the labels so I don't dox myself. No, but I got a paper cut under my fingernail. I think I just broke another one, which is fine. All right. Green is looking mostly mixed. Oh, removing labels. Normally, if I had my act together, I would have done this before the stream. Riveting TV, guys. I know you're watching paint dry. Yes, the live stream will be up on demand when the stream is over. Don't you worry. I mean, technically, I think you can go back in time now. Okay, you know what? I can't get that label off, so I just peeled off a piece of cardboard. Well, this is going to feel like a birthday present because I haven't checked what any of those are. Okay, we'll go back. So far we've done like one dyeing experiment. And then here we are watching colors just move and blend. Oh, my timing is good. My timing is really good. Okay. Now I could add the yarn into this without mixing it, but that's not what I'm going to do. Now we're going to mix it. don't know entirely why I'm filming this part. I don't think I'm going to use this part of the footage, but oh, you know what? Which zip ties I should use? I want a whole bag of very green zip ties. That probably could bleed onto yarn. And so this is the time to use it. Oh, it's my pleasure. Okay, we're gonna do 200 grams of dry Swish DK on here. It's only 8 cups of water. I will probably need more water. But the reason to add the zip ties is to keep things from getting tangled. Now, hopefully, okay, no, I see myself moving. I had a momentary panic of, did I the camera freeze? Okay. Now, earlier I talked a little bit about how the volume doesn't matter for some applications. And the volume of your dye bath doesn't matter that much, except for when it comes to different things on the technique. If I only had 10 milliliters of liquid with the dye at the bottom of this container, when I added the yarn, the dye would not spread all over. But having this dye mixed with 8 cups of water is allowing me to make a mess a little bit, but it's also allowing me to distribute this color all over the yarn. Now, since I'm starting with dry yarn, we are gonna potentially have some more tonal variation because there's some dry patches in here, and that is completely fine. But if I add more water in, that's not gonna change the final color. All that extra water is gonna do is gonna make it easier for me to distribute the color. So it's gonna make a difference with the technique versus with the finished color, because the volume that mattered was that volume of the dye stock that we added. So having that 60 milliliters of dye, 0.6 grams of dye, that is the amount that mattered. If I was dyeing this in 12 gallons of water, eventually all the color would bind and we'd end up with the same color in the end. It's just the color might be more even. It might not be as tonal, but you can see here that we got this to be pretty even. So yeah, let's add some acid. Oh, there's a big spill. But I'm going to do a very scientific glug of vinegar. Raise and lower things. So we could have some white patches in here. You pre-soak yarn to avoid white patches. But anyway, this I could transfer to a dye pot, or I may just let sit because I have other things that are going to be sitting overnight anyway. So may as well do this too. But the main reason for dyeing this green right here is that I needed and wanted to get some footage of colors blending. Okay, all my lids. Oh, they stuck. I was gonna say I have like I have like 20 of these shoe boxes now. Oh no! Oh, this is so annoying. I used the one shoebox that I don't have a lid for. That's really annoying. This is a shoebox that normally lives under the sink where dye stocks go. Man, that is absurdly annoying. Don't worry about the flames. I can just knock some pans over. Not a big deal. Oh man. Okay, but actually I do want to wipe down the counter because we're going to do some stuff over here. Although I suppose it doesn't matter if we end up with green because we're going to dye some yarn, and I think we're going to be using some greens. And I don't know what other colors we'll use in it yet. Okay. I need, let's see. I need to think. Okay, I need to set up a steamer basket. Oh, I totally broke my fingernail. How do I want to do this? Okay, because now I'm having the debate of, do I want to hand paint it on the countertop followed by steaming, or do an immersion technique? I think I want to do countertop followed by steaming. I think that's what I want to do. Do we need plastic wrap? Probably. Now, we're going for something a little bit random on this variegated portion, so it probably does not matter if I actually use plastic wrap. However, we're going to let the colors speak to us, and so then we may decide, oh, I wish I had plastic wrap to keep things separate. But for example, there's a big hole right here. Just cover that. And since like the other half of the yarn, if some color gets on it, we're probably going to be dyeing that navy or something in the end, so it's not a big deal if we get some color on the area that we're going to keep white for now. If you're just tuning in, this is going to be a self-striping yarn, but one of the stripes is going to be more variegated and random and mottled, and the other stripe will be a tonal. Okay, and colors. I've got Spearmint Breeze. I've got some Chartreuse. What do I have? I got some Midnight. Got some bright pink. We got some yellow. Why don't we do yellow? Oh, I do have radioactive and chartreuse. Interesting. I mean, I also have Caribbean blue, which I don't know if I want it, but I'll pull it just in case. There's currently no acid in that yarn. Okay, I think this is probably going to be the last project today because I can tell my brain is starting to get tired. Oh, man. Which isn't that that's a huge issue. It's that I'm being less coherent. But as I said, it's my first day back. Dang. Funny, I had like 7 different projects written down. But that's the thing, you always see, you sometimes have a big plan and you get through a portion of it, and that's fine. Okay, I'm going to turn the steamer basket on. I need the actual basket and I need the lid. I just dropped the steamer basket. So someone was asking about stuff for learning to dye. I just put the pot on the stove, but a steamer basket like this is like one of my most used tools. Because you eventually need to apply heat with most techniques. Forage in the wilds of Costco for sustenance. Oh, man. Oh, speaking of Costco, I think I got Costco shrimp cocktail yesterday. Oh, yeah. All right, what do I need? I need to add acid to this. To do that, this is what we're going to do. Okay, and I'm not filming this yet. I have the pre-soak. I'm going to remove the yarn. I'm going to dump a bunch of the water out. Okay. I'm going to wait for that sound to go away. Okay. I removed most of the liquid from the dye bath of our self-striping yarn because I do need to add acid, and I figured may as well just pour a little bit of some white vinegar on. And since we have not as much volume of water in here, I don't need to add as much acid. But the amount of I added was probably around a couple tablespoons worth. But we need the acid because we're going to hand paint about half of the yarn to get a fun variegated color. I'm going to squeeze out a lot of the liquid to leave space to add liquid dyes back into the yarn. And I have protected my countertop with some plastic wrap. So that way, whatever I dye, I can wrap it up and keep the colors a little bit more protected. But the first thing I need to do is sort of measure the skein out. And by measuring the skein, I'm going to want to divide it in half approximately, but I also don't want to tangle it. So what I'm doing is looking for one of the ties that was on the yarn, and you want to be careful. Aha, but there we go. And now I'm going to put two of these ends together. Sort of fold it over, and then over here in approximately the middle. It doesn't have to be exact. It could be exact if you really wanted, but I'm going to take a zip tie and add it so tight that I break it. I had a feeling that would happen. Some of these old zip ties get very brittle. There we go. And so it's not very tight. It could maybe move a little bit, but this is going to help me mark that center point approximately. Yeah, approximately. Now the other thing I want to do, and this is just to help me later on, I'm going to add a zip tie. This is a tie onto here, just so that way I can know where in the circle we are. Just in case things get tangled, that might help me in the future. And then all this yarn that we're not dyeing right now, I'm just popping into a little container that we're going to keep off to the side. And then as for everything else, we can now spread this out onto our counter. And see, the zip tie that I have over there is coming in a little bit handy because I know where it is. And with all this yarn that we have here, we can dye this in whatever random modeled colorful way we want. And I'm excited about that. Okay, but before we get started, I'm gonna make myself eat something because my tummy is growling and I think that that might help. So what I'm gonna do is quickly eat just like a cheese stick. So I washed my hands with soap, and I'm not going to put any food on the counter. But again, let me know if you guys have any questions. Let me see. I can check the chat when I was doing this. We saw another dyer use freezer chunks to do ice dyeing. Ooh, that's a fun way to do a defrosted freezer. Okay, good. My dye bath is heating up. There are pluses and minuses of doing what I have planned to do here first or second. But the main thing is if I don't like what I do here, I can always over dye it too. So we can make it more subtle. Goodness, I could even glaze it. All right. Oh, and by the way, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. Thank you. Out. I may or may not have just whacked myself in the face with my safety glasses. I am on a roll. I feel clumsy because it's been a while since I've done any of this. Okay. Let's see where we are camera-wise. Let's zoom in. Make sure I can see. Oh gosh, is that blocking your view? No. Good. Well, it's pretty amazing that it's not. Not much anyway. Okay. I have a number of dye stocks here. And the way I plan to dye this today is to take a little bit of these colors, add it on, we'll work it through at some point. This I think is chartreuse. Don't know if it's from Dharma or Jacquard. Now we've got radioactive from Dharma. My hypothesis is that this chartreuse is from Jacquard. I've got Spearmint Breeze, which is a more aqua mint color. I have some Brilliant Yellow. And I have some Caribbean Blue, which is a nice bright blue. Now, I'm not planning on doing this specifically in a repeating way, but we're going to have some small sections of color that aren't even going to necessarily be repeating. It'll be layered, and I'm really just going to take drops of these dye stocks. We may, help work things through with fingers. Things may stay put a little bit where they are, but I'm going to try to have some fun with this. And, well, let's just go and apply color. Cool. And all of these dye stocks were mixed at a 1% concentration, which means there was 1 gram of dye dissolved in 100 milliliters of liquid. Hopefully I don't add too much dye of any of these colors. Some of these colors are scary. The reason why I think that this is jacquard chartreuse is that that would make sense because of the color difference. Because jacquard chartreuse looks a lot more like radioactive. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. I'm going to do sort of drops of color. You can see I'm doing a lot of the spearmint. I'm really just playing. Things may layer, and that's okay. But it's fun to do something this random on something self-striping. And now the Caribbean blue, I'm doing less frequently. Oh, I got a little bit on my finger. Bringing that in. And you know what? It's going to be okay if we have white left too. Which just occurred to me because I'm a little nervous about adding too much dye. But it'll be okay. Now the yellow, I'm also not doing as frequent, and I want some amount of this to be like really random. But you can kind of get a sense of how you would get like a multicolored, speckly something or other out of this. It's green. Literally just letting drips fall. Oh. I like this one better than radioactive. Maybe we will leave some white behind. That is fun. Like, I consider the midnight, but then I didn't want anything too dark. And maybe it won't be white because maybe I'll squish it. I didn't know what I was going to want to do at first. I really am trying to let these colors speak to me a little bit. But then I also acknowledge that these are colors that are known bleeders, and I am afraid of a lot of them. So maybe it's silly with this technique that I'm doing that I added the plastic wrap, so maybe we don't need that after all, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Let's flip it over. Which is easier said than done. Aha, let's see how we got all that like pastel-y area. And I'm okay with some back staining in here too. Like that would not be a problem if we end up with like a pastel green instead of white. But the goal is to just have a little bit of fun and play with color. And sometimes I really have an idea of how I want to do something. Other times I make it up as I go along. And right now I'm really just making it up. I'm trying to be way more sparing with that blue, but there's a drop here. And so I may as well add that on, no harm. Let's be better safe than sorry. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing with the plastic wrap, and I'll probably say this eventually when this is so leaky. This is why your work surface should be protected. I was gonna say, this is why, I don't remember what I was gonna say. There we go. Okay, which one do I want? Some of these bottles are way friendlier than others. But yeah, sometimes you don't know exactly what you're going to want to go for until you start doing it. And that is also okay. Here I am moving it again just to see if there's spots where I feel like I need a little more color. Then again, we're going to have something modeled a little random. Okay, and the last thing I might do is just a little bit more of this mint color because that's our star. And here I am flying by the seat of my pants. Okay. I'm really enjoying, actually, I'll say this in the voiceover. I let the dies speak to me, and dripping the color onto the yarn really was fun and freeing, and I really just watched what the colors were doing and leaned into it. It's so fun doing something that is so random when you're doing a colorway that otherwise needs more planning, like self-striping. And I decided that it's okay if I leave some whites behind because we could get some back staining. Some of these colors are known bleeders, and I like the way it's coming together. I went the heaviest with the Spearmint Breeze, what I believe is Jacquard Chartreuse, and then Radioactive from Dharma, and used a little bit less of the Brilliant Yellow and Caribbean Blue because I want them to be pops of color. I don't want to end up with like vertical stripes that pool. I want it to be specklier and still a stripe because it's going to contrast with the other color that we use, but to have it be more random and free flowing. Now, as random as this ended up being, I didn't need to protect my work surface additionally with some plastic wrap that I added. The plastic wrap is really handy if you want to keep, when you're steam setting, colors from bleeding into one another. And I suppose there is still a little bit of purpose for me there, but I could have been fine without using that plastic wrap. But you know, sometimes it's better to be safe when you think you may do a different type of hand-painted colorway than not have it. And so I'm glad I had it just in case. Okay, Rebecca, real time. Because if I had hand painted this in a more variegated segment with, say, like yellow and then blue, and didn't want them to bleed together, then having the plastic wrap would be really important with something this long. But it's going to be okay if things touch a little bit because we were really random with our placement. Now, what this is going to let me do is keep things separate, and maybe this will just make it my life easier when we go to dye our tonal section here. Here that I have sort of in this cup, but I think before dyeing that, I am going to go ahead and steam set things for 30 minutes in my steamer basket. Rebecca, show a clip at the removal. So I'll see you in 30 minutes. And yet that takeout container that I have the white yarn in, that's going in the steamer basket too. I'll tell you that for 30 minutes. Okay, I may end up steaming the yarn again after we do the tonal layer, which will either happen today or a different day. We'll see how I'm doing mentally. But since I will have this as an episode of Dye Pot Weekly, at a minimum, or else it'll be like a short or something. It'll be content that comes out at some point. Oh gosh, I don't need to keep filming that. You'll see I always include a swatch when I do self-striping yarn, which brings me to another big request that I get. People often request that I do more swatches in my videos. And unfortunately, that's just not practical for me to do. And that's mainly because I am one person. Let me sit over here. Hello, and I'll open these boxes in a minute. So because I am one, is something weird going on with the frame rate? I don't know. But first, what color am I planning to use for the tonal? Probably navy. Yeah, I think I would do navy. Maybe I'd mix some midnight in with a navy, but I'm thinking navy. Okay, but what I was saying is that I completely lost my train of thought. Okay, if someone could remind me what I was talking about. This is so embarrassing. Oh my gosh, this is like my brain. Oh, a question. Do I know if Dharma has a Canadian distributor? I don't. Now, Dharma shipping tends to be expensive even if you live in the US because they charge the actual shipping costs, but yeah, I don't know. Okay. I guess I could go back. Go watch the replay. Let's see. Oh, I'm just one person swatches. Thank you. You guys are the best. So let's think about that green tonal I dyed just a little bit ago. If I wanted to swatch that, I'd have to take a skein, remove the ties on it. I could knit a swatch directly from the Swift. That's what I usually would do when I'm showing one of the self-striping videos. And then, I'd have to do that, photograph it. And so maybe it would take 20-30 minutes for me to make the swatch between like setting up the Swift, doing that, filming it, and then rescanning the yarn again so I could sell it, which would change the way the skein looks because I normally don't rescan my yarn. And so the reason why this is important is that if I'm dyeing a colorway where there's only 200 grams, then that's a lot because I have so many different colorways that I do that are so random. If I was going to try to swatch each one, that adds a lot of time. I mean, technically today, so I'm going to swatch the self-striping one because I think that's important so you can visualize a bit like how big each of the stripes are to know if you want to make a bigger skein or a smaller skein. That's why I swatch those. But otherwise, I have 4 different colorways that are waiting for me to steam set tomorrow that I've dyed today. And so, sure, if I have the Swift set up already, it wouldn't take me that long to swatch each one, but I'm one person and I just don't have the capacity to do that. And that's one reason why I started doing the Hanukkah samplers, which, by the way, there are some left in the shop, in the stock yard. But the reason why I started doing Hanukkah is because I'm like, okay, let's do a lot of different dyeing techniques. Then you can see how they knit up and swatch it yourself to decide what kind of colorways you might want to dye. And that was one of the ideas behind it because I'm like, I don't have the capacity to swatch everything. But anyway. Yes, the no swatches was definitely the question. But yeah, I think that the other half of this will be a navy tonal, is what I think I want to do, because I think those colors would look really, really pretty together. But anyway, I am now going to do a little unboxing, which I think is mostly going to just be some Knit Picks Bare Yarn. And again, my affiliate link is in the chat, and we will see what I ordered. There's one thing that is not bare yarn in here. I'm hoping that I ordered some sock legs though. Yes! Sock legs! I needed more. And so I was getting nervous. What's in here? Oh, cool. All right, so I've got 10, I think, Hawthorne and 10 Stroll sock lengths in here, which, okay, I suppose I should count. Let's see. Stroll, Hawthorne, Stroll, Hawthorne. Oh, Hawthorne, Stroll, Hawthorne. Oh, I wonder if they do a new, I haven't checked this year. Normally they do, if you buy 10 skeins in, or 10 of any yarn base, then you can have a, normally there's a promotion that if you buy 10 of a yarn base, then you get some kind of discount code. Something seems wrong here. Oh, I totally messed up the way I did this. Fine. I was like, these piles do not look equivalent. Hawthorne. Okay. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. Counting is important. Amy, just ignore. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I got a skein of Bare Eco Superwash, which I'm very excited about. This is the Superwash alpaca nylon yarn. It is so soft. Ooh, this is exciting. Oh, I got 2 skeins of Eco Superwash. Yeah, ooh, goody. I got a skein of Shimmer Lace. This is 70% baby alpaca, 30% silk. Also very soft. And I got 2 skeins of Whoopsland in this gray. This is the, what is it? It's like an alpaca. Yeah, it's 80% merino, 20% alpaca. And the Whoopsland one is ones that I guess pill a little bit more. And so that is exciting. But let's go to the, let's go to the Knit Picks website. Whoa, my thing. Where's my mouse? Oh no. Oh, that's so annoying. Come on. Okay. When I went to it, because it was down, my mouse wasn't showing up on my screen anymore, and that was really annoying. Okay, if we go to sale, because they changed their website. Yeah, maybe they don't have that deal going on anymore. Because I noticed that they had changed the website on crochet.com last year, and they just changed it for Knit Picks too, and I don't like it. I don't find it easier. I think it's slightly easier on mobile, but I don't love it. Okay, so maybe there isn't that discount for like the sweater quantity. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to click on. But anyway, let's see. Yeah. I would say if you see nasty people come up in the chat, report the comments, but I would not reply or anything because we just want them to go away. I think that they put this on top so that way they could, okay, I'm going to get really mad if this is what I think it is. I think they put this on the top so that way when it like takes the yarn. Oh, thank God there's some bags in here. Okay, because I got a big bag and I saw this, and this had me mad. An open bag of stroll. And that made me mad because I'm like, I don't want the skeins to arrive loose. I want the skeins to arrive like this because then I can stack them. It makes inventory really easy. Thank goodness. There we go. Okay. Okay, so we got two. That bag has a slit. Because see, now I'm like 10, 20, 30 skeins of stroll. This does not have a packing slip in this one. And this should hopefully have 10. I see 5 over there, 6, 7. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, this isn't like the warehouse's fault, but it's like, especially if I bought this as 40 individual skeins versus buying, to get a discount, if I bought it as 40 individual skeins versus buying the bare yarn as like a bulk thing, which I can check. My orders. I don't like the new website just because I'm not used to it. Nope, I ordered 20 packs. And so that is just really annoying because if you're ordering in the 20 pack, you want it to come bagged. And, you know, it is what it is. And like the warehouse is not connected necessarily to customer service. So, oops. Last box. The Big Iron doesn't have a direct link category. Oh, but I have my affiliate link will bring you directly to the bare yarn category. Okay, so I put my own link in chat, and clicking on that will give you all the bare yarn. So I don't know if the wholesale website still exists or if they like closed my wholesale account because I stopped using it because the discounts weren't as good anymore. Because like when I try to log in, my other account. It's just the regular website now. So yeah, I wonder if they removed the wholesale website because the inventory on there wasn't working well, and that was a bummer. But okay, I've got some exciting things in here. All right, I've got some wool, the Andes Bulky Superwash in the color Clarity. I don't know why I ordered this. There must have been a reason though. I guess there was maybe it was on sale. There must have been a reason why I picked that. Must have been a project. But the other thing I got, and I bought this myself, is I got the little like crochet kit to test out. Because so earlier this year, Lion Brand sent me one for free, and I tested out their kit, and I had a lot of fun making the video. And when I saw that Knit Picks had one, I could have asked them to give it to me, but instead I bought it myself. I did not reach out and ask for them to send it. But I'm excited to give it a try and let you know what I think at some point. Then at one point, Lion Brand reached out and they like wanted me to do a comparison with Woobles. Woobles never, I did reach out to Woobles before and ask for something, and they chose not to send me anything. And then Lion Brand didn't either, but maybe because I asked if they would also send me, I asked if they would send me another one of their kits that was unused, so then I could lay them out side by side. But if you guys are interested in me doing like a regular video where I wouldn't reknit the Lion Brand one, but I could put like that in. I could buy a Woobles and I could buy this and compare the different kits. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. But otherwise, I got this because I thought it would be fun to make a little video out of it, of my own. Of my own accord. You know? Pastels can be a great base yarn. Absolutely. There was a reason. There must have been a reason. Either it was really discounted still and I grabbed it just for an over dyeing video, or else I don't know what the reason is. And so I'm kind of annoyed with myself that I don't remember if there was a reason for that. So yeah, but otherwise I got, you know, this bag has like a little slit in it, but that's okay. So 1, 2, 3. What? Oh no. I'm short 10 skeins. This is annoying because I filmed this in December. 4 or 5. Oh no, it's here. Thank God. Oh my God. Okay. 4, 5. This is all Swish DK. 6. I couldn't see it. There was one skein against this bag against the side, and I was like, oh, I really don't want there to be something missing. But yeah, see the bags just stack super well. And so this was my, what, like, how many? I guess it was only like a $1,000 order. But again, I placed it myself, and ick. That was expensive. Now, I think this was when, because for Black Friday last year, they had that 30% off coupon. And that was really, really cool. And so that's why I bought all this, because it stacked. And I did not know that it would be a 30% off coupon. But everything was there. Wait, there was a shipping fee of 15 cents. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. But yeah, I spend a lot of money on yarn. Yeah, I'm really glad it was there. Now, I have been short skeins. See, like if it's a full bag, then it would be hard for them to short me. There was one time they sent me like 7 skeins of the wrong yarn base. And it was just a mistake. Like warehouses make mistake when you're ordering like what? So I ordered 200, when you order 200 skeins of yarn, mistakes can happen, especially if they're not in full bags. And so I just didn't want to have to deal with all that before, and so that's what I bought. But I'm excited to try this. I know that that's not the like typical kind of content I do, and so that's why it might just be a short. Even though, like, so I'm an affiliate, right? But it wouldn't be an ad. But I was just like, I really want to try, like, the character looked pretty cute. And I genuinely had fun doing the Lion brand one that they sent me. The problem is that I find a lot of these little crochet kits to be a little too expensive if you are not a beginner. If you're a beginner and you don't have the tools, then I think that for getting like the small amount of yarn and multiple colors, I think that could be a good deal. And the problem is that if you already have hooks, if you have stuffing, if you have contrasting colors, then like you really just need the pattern. But the convenience of having everything in one little kit is a lot of fun. And so that's why I was excited to try this one. Especially because in my head, I'm like, well, if I'm going to be trying like these other two, then I may as well try it. And so, yeah, I may do that anyway, just because I know the kits are popular. I just know that I'm not the intended audience for it. And so I have to keep that in mind. But I had so much fun doing the little ice cream. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So we don't get trolls very much. Occasionally we do. And I hesitate to say something because they're probably making a fourth account or whatever to come and chat. But you know, it is what it is. It doesn't upset me. And yeah, I just don't want any of you to be upset. But there will be times when, yeah, people have fun doing that. Did I set a timer for that? Probably. Oh my goodness. I am tired. It's only 11:30. I only been streaming for 2.5 hours and I'm tired. You guys, that's kind of pathetic. I used to be able to do like 6 hours and stuff. Also, watching any video I produce helps with your concentration. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. I'm glad I can be like good slow TV, you know? Oh my god. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so let's talk about some of the videos that I thought about doing but didn't. Okay, so one of the things I needed to do is I need to do some gradients because I mentioned that I want to do that unraveling, steam setting versus soaking. I want to combine orange and green. Oh, I did buy a 6-inch deep steam pan so I can do bigger lasagnas. I thought about doing some food coloring breaking at one point. Another idea someone had that was really interesting to me, which I would say we could do, but honestly I'm tired, so I don't think I'll do it right now. I'm being honest. I gotta listen to my body. Someone suggested that I set up multiple shoe boxes and sort of dip the blank into each of them, and that idea seems really interesting and is on my list of things that I want to do. And then, of course, I have a whole other page of the videos I need to film because I've got some lab partner videos and like this month's Patreon video and stuff. So that is all stuff. Oh, and of course, Valentine's Day, because we got the Valentine's Day pre-order. Where do I go to that? Oh. Okay, so there's still some Hanukkah samplers, just the soft ones, but we've got the Mystery Valentine's Day yarn, and there's multiple different yarn bases that are either fingering, DK, or worsted weight yarn. And so fingering, DK, or worsted weight yarns. There's a sparkle option, a superwash MCN option, And these will ship, goodness, Valentine's Day yarn pre-order. They come with a handmade Valentine. These will ship end of January, early February. Hopefully they'll arrive in time for Valentine's Day. But then I'll have a video that comes out on Valentine's Day showing the dyeing of the yarn. And so, yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Oh, I think I just got some packages delivered. I was like, why am I getting notifications? But yeah, clearly I need to, I'm so excited to dye so much this year. That always sounds bad. To dye so much yarn, YouTube. Yarn. Oh man. But I hope I've started building into my schedule. Why can I not find it? Here we go. Oh, naturally. I started building into my schedule other live stream times, and I thought that this would be a way for me to like ease back in, especially because with Hanukkah taking place almost entirely over winter break this year, and then even going like a little beyond, I am very tired. Doing the nightly videos is a lot. Like, it's not that much work to hang out in the chat or anything. It's just, you know, I'm tired because I've always been like thinking about it. And then on the 5th, I went to bed early. And then, of course, my alarm reminding me at 8:30 p.m. went off. And I was like, oh no! Oh no! Yeah, so I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get my brain back into it. But I'm very happy that so many of you joined me today. We did dye up some yarn. The tonal part, I mean, I'll probably let, wait, is the timer? Yes, the timer's going down. I'll probably let that yarn cool off. And then honestly, I might dye the tonal portion tomorrow. I might dye it later today. So yeah, but I thought that, you know, having this on the schedule took some pressure off. I did really well at the end of the year, and so my January schedule is pretty filled out, and so I'm very excited about that. But otherwise, I don't think I have any other announcements. But I want to peek at my schedule, which of course I don't have open anywhere. My schedule that goes all the way back to the very first episode of Dye Pot Weekly. It's all in one big spreadsheet. Okay, so in theory, at the end of the month, I have another stream tentatively scheduled. But, you know, everything is in flux, and so it could be a bonus video instead. Or I could decide to stream on a random day as well. And so it won't always be on a Tuesday or Friday, but Fridays are a day that often I will, like, I have a spreadsheet with like when the videos are coming out when, and things like that. And so, because I have the spreadsheet and because I have the spreadsheet and everything like planned out, then if I plan a time for me to stream, if I can't make it, then I can reconfigure things, or else I can make it work. And so that is really, really fun. So anyway, y'all. Oh, but it's a new year. I am very, very excited, and we're going to have a lot of fun. So please subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. I usually post at least twice a week, and I've got, lots of ideas planned. Friday's video is going to be a resolutions video, and so we'll talk about some of what I hope for this year. But one of the things I hope for this year, and it conceivably almost was going to be today's stream, but not, One of these live streams, I'm going to get my spinning wheel out, and it might be plying yarn because I might just have yarn on bobbins that needs to be plied. But we're gonna do, one of my resolutions is to actually do that this year. We'll see. I have to plan it in, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. Thank you. I hope that you guys have awesome days today too, and yeah, that your new year is starting off strong. Wait, is today's Tuesday? This is how disoriented I am. I was like, wait, is today Monday? It's Tuesday. All right. Thank you, everyone. I'll chat with you all soon. And yeah, have a wonderful day.